On today's show, we meet vocalist Janelle Snarsky, learn about staying healthy this winter from our friends at BID Plymouth, get informed about MyCAP, chat about podcasts with Tiff and Micaela, hear original poetry, and talk about upcoming events in our South Shore towns. It's a new month, a new set for the local scene, and we are glad you're here. Let's get started. Janelle Snarsky is a Plymouth attorney and longtime musician who has an interesting story about holding fast to your dreams. We invited her on the local scene to tell it.
Okay, well, going way, way back, I mean, music was always my thing. The choir, the chorus, all of that great stuff. When I was in high school at Plymouth Carver High, I actually was very familiar with the sports, and I married an athlete, and I dated an athlete, and my brother was an athlete. So it was, I do believe his name was Mr. Almeida. They called him Coach, so I can't even tell you the first name. But he said, listen, you want to sing the national anthem? I said, yes, please. And I'll never forget it because at the old garden, it was 20,000 something people. And I got there, my knees were shaking, but I was excited. And I looked up, and the first face I saw was my father. It was the greatest experience of my life. So that's where music started. And then my sister Kathy, because I was in college in Boston and I was commuting, got me in touch with Johnny Alves and said, listen, Lily is our incredibly talented lead singer, Johnny's sister, but Lily was doing her own professional thing, touring with a function band, and they needed a vocalist. And I was, I think, 18 at the time, and I said, how the heck? I go to school. This isn't gonna work. She goes, just go, audition. I said, okay, I'll just go. And I did. And, my schedule was tricky, but they said, listen, this works, let's do it. So we became the house band at Game Point Racquetball Club, which is right across the street from this studio, and had the time of our lives. So that was my first professional band experience was with After Dark. And all these years later, Johnny and I'm so blessed to be part of his amazing projects and all the fun that we've had. It's been incredible. I knew I was going to law school, and what happened was I graduated Suffolk as an undergrad. I got accepted to law school, and then I had the opportunity with my first single. And I went back to the house in Plymouth, my dad's house. My parents lived in separate places. And I said, Dad, I gotta give this a go. I'm so excited. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. He goes, honey, no. He says, you have the talent. You can do it. If it's meant to be, it will be. You gotta go to law school. And the day that I got accepted, I'll never forget it, God rest his soul. He took 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper and put congratulations, Janelle. My father would never tack anything on his wallpaper, ever. Tacked, in each piece of paper had one letter, congratulations, Janelle. He was so excited for me to go to law school. But I knew, A, I wasn't gonna disappoint my dad. B, there's a million incredible, talented musicians, and I always knew that I love it, I enjoy it, but, I need to have a career, do you know? The first single was called Don't Be Shy, and we were invited on to Kiss 108's Battle of the Bands. I was never so excited in all my life, right? So I say to my law partner, we were in the middle of a huge case, and I said, this is unbelievable. We're going to be on Battle of the Bands. My girlfriends are coming from Plymouth. He goes, oh, no. Oh, no. I need you to work overtime. I was like, excuse me? I said, tonight is the night. He goes, oh, no. What do you need? I said, I need to hear it. And he goes, I'll get you a radio. So it was the most anticlimactic. We won, but I am sitting at my computer and I listened to it on the radio and there were no cell phones. So the office phone was ringing overnight with all my family saying, oh my God, this is unbelievable. But I couldn't even answer the phone because it was turned off because it was overnight. So that was the excitement of the prelim to this song. And it went really well. And then, life goes on. And all of a sudden, 2 years ago, it's been rediscovered in the UK, and they're crazy about it, and I've reissued it 2 times since we originally did it. That sound, which was very, very popular when I was in law school in the early 80s, has like taken off in the UK. It's having this complete resurgence, but things in music, like in fashion, come full circle. Like my daughter, she is an actress, singer, dancer, but she's also a cycle instructor because we all need a foundation to pay the bills, and she uses it in her cycle bar class. She loves it. Yeah, so it's crazy. All of us have our certain something that you may let it go while you raise a family, and I have 2 beautiful kids that I'm so proud of, and you get married, and it's like the essence of who you really are, and it never, ever, ever, ever goes away. And even now, I mean, my girlfriend lost her mom recently, and I sang at the funeral at her request and her mother's request. And after all these years, you know, you're celebrating a beautiful life, and when people say, you know, I had chills when you sang Ave Maria, I mean, that's what it's about. It's who you really, truly are in your soul. You never give up the dream, but you pursue and work your butt off for the reality, right? Because the dream is always going to be there. And if you choose that path and you choose not to develop a relationship, a marriage, a family, then it can be a very lonely life. And even when that great moment of grandeur happens, to me, it could be a little empty sometimes, you know, because you do want the whole picture if you can get it. And if you continue to pursue it, I mean, I'm living proof. I'm 3 years after I got my face on that thing thinking I was the cat's meow, and now people are still buying it. So it's like, that's good enough for me. You never know.
'Tis the season for giving, and Wildlands Trust is asking for a small gift of your time to reroute a short, washed-out section of trail at the Cowtown Preserve in Duxbury. All experience levels are welcome for this December 19th Volunteer Day, lasting from 10 a.m. to 1 in the afternoon. You'll join Wildlands Trust stewardship staff to help clear brush, dig a new tread, and cover up the former trail. No registration is required, and volunteers can come and go as you please. Staff will provide IVX and Technu, as the property has a significant amount of poison ivy. Long sleeves and neck gaiters are encouraged. The address is 1265 Tremont Street in Duxbury. For questions, contact Stewardship Coordinator Zoe Smirowski at zsmirowski@wildlandstrust.org. Current day Plymouth is a postcard-perfect holiday season town, but early colonists treated the season much differently. On December 14th, join Plymouth Patuxet Director of Colonial Interpretation and Training, Malka Benjamin, for the Lunch and Learn event, Christmas in Plymouth Colony. Explore the background of Christmas in Old England and learn why Reformed Christians didn't celebrate. This event will run from 12 to 1 p.m. in person, and online tickets are available. Visit the museum's website to learn more. To keep yourself and your loved ones healthy during the cold winter months, here's some information from Beth Israel Deaconess, Plymouth.
As the leaves change and the temperature drops, you know what that means. It's flu season. Add in COVID and RSV, and the holiday season can be a respiratory illness mess. I'm Dr. Tenny Thomas, Chief Medical Officer of Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital, Plymouth. Here's a few things you can do to protect yourself and your loved ones. First, make sure everyone in your family washes their hands often. Second, get vaccinated. The flu shot is proven to reduce your risk of catching the flu. And the latest COVID vaccine protects against the newest variants. The CDC says you can have both shots at the same time. To get vaccinated, visit your local pharmacy or your primary care physician. If you don't have one, please visit our website at bidplymouth.org and click on Find a Doc. Let's keep our families, friends, and communities healthy and happy during this cold and flu season. Get vaccinated, and together, we can make winter a little warmer and a lot healthier.
The Pembroke COA knows how to celebrate the holidays and invites you to join in on the fun. The December 19th holiday potluck and Yankee swap will take place from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. Listen to Christmas classics, enjoy a visit from Santa himself, and bring your appetite and a dish to share with others. If you want to be part of the Yankee swap, bring a wrapped gift costing no more than $15. Call the COA at 781-294-8220 to sign up and let them know what potluck dish you'll be bringing. Registration is happening now. The COA hopes to see you there. Cherish the Ladies is a passionate and rambunctious Celtic ensemble who have been entertaining global audiences for over 30 years. On Friday, December 15th, classic carols including Silent Night, O Come All Ye Faithful, and more will reverberate through the Spire Center in Plymouth in arrangements that highlight the ensemble's beautiful harmonies, Celtic instrumentation, and spectacular step dancing. Doors open at 7 p.m. Visit thespirecenter.org for tickets. PCMS is rolling out a year-long initiative, MyCAP, My Career and Academic Plan. MyCAP is designed to provide students opportunities to plan for future success through a range of career awareness and exploration programs. Here's more.
My name is Brian Zaccello. I'm the coordinating producer of Boston Bruins hockey and remote events at Nesson. Currently in my 17th season producing Boston Bruins hockey at Nesson. Grew up in Pembroke, Mass, went to Silver Lake, huge Bruins and Red Sox fan, and just living the dream producing Boston Bruins hockey. Why am I here at PCMS today? Long story short is Mrs. Mulligan, the teacher here in the classroom, we grew up together and probably met in junior high. So it's kind of crazy that almost over 30 years later, I'm here today. She asked me to speak to her class and talk about sports and career in sports. It's someone I see probably once a year now, but I was excited when she reached out and asked me to do this and come to Pembroke, and I live in Raynham now, so just get the chance to be at Pembroke Middle School today was quite a thrill for me. What my presentation will entail today and what I'm hoping to accomplish. For me, I'm here to show the kids at Pembroke Middle School that there are different careers out there. I've always wanted to be part of sports, and I started working at Pembroke Community Access Television my freshman year in high school when I was at Silver Lake, and really just learned editing, lighting, setting up shots, all sorts of fun things, adding graphics that I never thought was imaginable, probably even in middle school, but just totally immerse myself.
So we're first learning about the MyCAP program, and it's basically just careers in sports that we haven't really thought about because we're kind of focused on other things like sports and school and not really what our future's like.
From MyCAP has been teaching me about the careers that I haven't really thought about or heard about, and it's been cool of what they do in the background, behind things we haven't seen or heard.
I want to share my experiences with the kids here at Pembroke Middle School. That I worked at Pembroke Community Access Television in high school my freshman year, and learned editing, learned lighting, learned camera work, all those fun things that as I first got into my foot into Nesson that I already learned in my freshman year in high school. So I had a little step ahead of some people that were coming in when I was editing. So I'm hoping to share my experiences with the kids here today.
Yeah, the fun part of having a presentation happen in class is we get to learn about stuff that happens behind the scenes and not just the sports part of it. We learn about what people have to do for the broadcast to happen, for the sound to work.
Mrs. Mulligan was explaining the program. I found it very interesting to share my experiences, and I thought it was a program that I could help enhance and again share what I've been through and what I've done and in my career, and just show the people that it's not even just producing, it's directing, it's camera work, it's editing, it's lighting, it's engineering. There's so many different opportunities in the television field that hopefully I can inspire someone today to look into it.
On December 29th, bring your littles for some morning fun with Big Ryan's Tall Tales at the Kingston Public Library. For over 20 years, Big Ryan has been beloved, entertaining kids aged 2 and up with puppet play, musical movement, and original storytelling. The event takes place in the Children's Activity Room from 11 to 11:45 a.m. Register via the Kingston Public Library website. Accessibility, convenience, and unique content in a never-ending supply. The world of podcasts is huge. Have you jumped on the podcast listening bandwagon yet? Tiff and Micaela are next, sharing their favorite pods and what keeps them coming back for more.
Hi, Micaela.
Hi.
This is our first time doing a podcast together.
Together, yeah.
This is very exciting.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in good hands.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been playing this game for like 2 years now.
Okay, so you're pro.
So, no, I won't say pro, but I'm doing it. We're doing the thing. So we're going to talk about podcasts. We're going to be super meta and have a podcast about podcasts.
Absolutely.
Very exciting. So why podcasts? Why do more and more people turn to podcasts?
I think the answer to that is a little sad.
Oh,
I think that people in such an age where we're very, very isolated from each other, we turn to parasocial relationships, and podcasts are a very good way to do that in a way. Podcasts are a very good way to have a parasocial relationship because it's the same personalities every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And also, they are so conversational that it feels like you are just hanging out with your friends in a room, even though you're not. And also, not only are you kind of hanging out with people virtually, but you're doing so in a way where you're not vulnerable to like your social anxiety.
That's true. That's true. And like, I like the idea of just having an accessible medium. Like,
Yeah.
I can't drive and read a book at the same time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not that awesome. But I can listen to stories online.
Yeah.
I can listen to people telling amazing tales or giving me advice
Yeah.
or giving me instructionals. And it's great. And it kind of reminds me of like the old timey radio shows
Yeah.
that used to exist.
Yeah.
My grandfather had these tapes called Suspense, and he used to put them into an old radio. Looked like an old radio, and made us listen to them. And I loved it. It kind of like, it spun my creativity. It made me make mental pictures. And that's what I feel like. I'm still like the 8-year-old just sitting in my grandfather's couch, just listening to these amazing stories being told.
That's cute. That's really sweet.
Oh, yeah.
When you say accessible, at first I thought you meant as in like, because the internet democratizes everything.
Yeah.
And so everyone has a podcast.
Yeah, everybody has a podcast.
The cost to entry is so low.
It's a good thing, though. I mean,
It
it's
is a good thing.
It's a free speech platform. I
Yes.
mean, you can go online and get a $25 setup and still have a podcast and pay,
Yeah.
the X amount of money per month.
Or you can get a membership at your local community access channel.
Ooh, that was a plug. That was a plug. I like the wink. That was a nice. There you go. So, let's get to it. What is the podcast that you are listening to a lot right now?
Morbid.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, very, very popular.
Very popular.
Yeah, because I thought I would get on the bandwagon.
Local.
Yes, that's also a huge reason why I love it. I love hearing people say like wicked out of a sudden, like flip into the accent. And also they do a lot of Massachusetts stories and episodes, which is great because Massachusetts and New England in particular is like an incredibly spooky place in terms of history and also fiction. And people don't always realize that. They get reminded every once in a while when it's the fall, but less so during the rest of the year. And I think we should be known for that.
So for the folks playing at home, what is Morbid about?
Morbid is 2 women. I believe they're actually like aunt and niece, but they're more like sisters. So Elena and Ash, and one of them is a hairdresser, Ash, who's the younger one, and the older one is Elena, who is actually an autopsy technician.
That's the coolest job ever.
I don't know. I mean, no.
Really? No?
I mean, I understand why people like it, but I just couldn't.
Oh, I think it's so interesting.
Yeah, I just think about my own mortality enough. I wouldn't want to do that at work. more than I usually do.
My cousin's a funeral director, and I just ask him ridiculous questions.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, can you stop? It's Easter. I'm eating ham. Like, can you just cut it out? But no, I won't. I refuse. And the Morbid's like that. I've listened to a couple of episodes. I'm not too far in. My wife and I are starting from the beginning, which is going to take a while because they started in 2018. So
Yeah.
we got a little way to go.
Yeah.
But I listened to a couple of them and they're great. And I do like the commentary. Sometimes I don't, but I like their commentary.
Yeah, because they're also genuinely like respectful while also being funny. Like they will cheer on the victims and the survivors, and they will like completely roast the perpetrators. They don't glorify it,
Right.
which is really hard to do. I think a lot of people definitely glorify it. Serial killers are just losers. Like genuinely, if you ask an FBI agent, they're just the biggest losers.
With mommy issues.
A lot of them, yeah, most of them, all of them. They're just the biggest losers, and so we shouldn't be glamorizing them because there's nothing to glamorize.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like polishing, it's putting lipstick on a pig.
That's a good way of putting
I was
it.
going to say something else, but I couldn't say that on here.
You can't say that on
No.
television. Or on your podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I listened to, there was this one story about this satanic cult. It was like one of the first episodes.
Was it in the Bridgewater Triangle?
No, it wasn't the Bridgewater Triangle. This one I think was not local.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe no, it wasn't local. But it's about this like group that actually made a human sacrifice. And then it was just from start to finish, it was just the saddest, like scariest story. And like
Yeah.
you gotta ask yourself, where are the parents?
No.
Where are the parents?
Permissive parenting. Welcome to the stage, permissive parenting.
Well, I mean, like in the 80s and 90s, they had this thing on TV that would air at like 10 o'clock at night. Be like,
Yeah.
do you know where your children are? And I feel like that should be brought back.
Yeah, I actually have Life 360 on my phone because my mom would bug me about like, text me when you get there. And so if I forget, she'll be like, are you okay? Are you okay? I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And so she'll be like, I saw you got home. I'm like, great.
Well, I'm a geriatric millennial, so my parents weren't
Yeah.
that in depth into where we were.
Yeah.
But,
I had to set it up for her.
oh.
She's a boomer. Literally. No, she literally fits the very young boomer, but she just makes the cut.
She did it.
She
She did it.
did.
She made the cut.
Yeah, she did.
So why do you think true crime is like a thing? You have a theory about this.
I do, specifically when it comes to like women or like vulnerable people in general, which
Okay.
is, you know, like when you're a young kid, especially, you know, if like you're a girl, you are told like do X, Y, and Z because, you know, people are out there to harm you. You're vulnerable. And it almost kind of like the onus is completely on, in these cases, like the victim, like if you didn't do X, Y, and Z, then this is going to happen to you. So I think that for women in particular, listening to true crime is like a catharsis because it's one, confronting your fears that you've been taught to be afraid of, and you're also educating yourself of like, how do I get out of this thing? How do I do this? Like everyone has a secret escape plan to get out of their house. And now it's like everyone has a secret escape plan if they meet a serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. They literally have the blueprint for like podcasts and television and movies. Like it gives you a blueprint, like how do you survive this?
Oh, yeah,
A lot
absolutely.
of people are surviving these crazy situations because art has told them, given them a handbook,
Yes.
which is great. That's a
Yeah.
really interesting philosophy. I like that. All right. Well, I digress. Like I want to talk about my podcast, not my personal podcast, the podcast that
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with. Lore, which is this guy named Aaron Mahnke, and I love his
Yeah.
voice. I have like such a friend crush on him, not a boy crush, a friend crush. And he lives in Western Mass, and he tells the origin stories of just like the crazy, like vampires and
Yeah.
werewolves. But he'll also talk about like Lizzie Borden, for example, and like certain things. There was this one about this crazy house where this crazy murders took place, and people stay overnight. And he kind of went into all the detail of the accounts that they've had while staying there. It's great. There's not a lot of commentary, which I prefer, but he'll give you like little tidbits of just like,
Yeah.
isn't that weird? Or like, he doesn't really go crazy. He gives you facts, and I like that about
Yeah.
it.
Aaron Mahnke is like, he writes it all out.
He does.
Yes.
He also has the show. He made a show out of it called Lore.
Yeah.
It's on Prime, which is great. And then also he has a couple of them. He's like Aaron Mahnke's Cabinet of
my gosh.
Curiosities.
Aaron, I forgot your name for a second. Sorry,
Mahnke.
Aaron. You really get in the bag.
Yeah.
That's great.
And he has the same lines every time, and his voice is just so like accessible. And it's just, I'm Aaron Mahnke, and this is Lore. And at the end, he'll be like, stop by my socials and say hi. I like when people say hi. And I'm like, oh, it's really cute.
I feel like I like when people say hi can mean something different depending on how you say it and who's saying it.
Oh, you took it to a dark place.
I did.
You took it there.
I told you I'm very existential.
I love it. I've never met a person who's darker than me. I'm very excited.
I don't know. I think you should talk to more Zoomers.
More Zoomers?
Yeah, that's just kind of like our thing.
What's a Zoomer? I'm a geriatric millennial. You're gonna have to.
Gen Z, so just after
Is
millennial.
that what is? Oh,
Gen Z.
Oh, I'm a geriatric. I was born in '85, so you gotta.
That's not geriatric.
It's pretty. I have my days.
Yeah, but you had like the fun, like those. Are the
I
better
remember
eras.
life before the internet.
I remember it a little bit.
Do you?
Yeah, because I was born '99.
Oh,
So I do remember like having CDs, or I had VHS tapes. And I remember like having like an old Dell desktop that like would take forever to turn on and would crash.
did you have Prodigy? I think Prodigy was before your time.
A little bit. I don't know what
Yeah,
that is.
Prodigy was like one of the first internet services. It was madness. And
No,
they
I just
the,
had Internet Explorer.
Did you have the dial-up?
No.
Oh, you didn't have the dial-up.
No.
You didn't. You
Didn't
missed
suffer.
You missed a whole period of time where it's like, and that's how you. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the noise. It's insane noise.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think they're going from here?
More video, like you said.
Yeah.
Probably more live shows. And because of this parasocial element, I'm sure, and I can't think of any, ideas, but I think it's going to lean more and more into interactivity.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I think it will.
That's an interesting thought. I think I love the idea of a podcast. I love the idea of being a person who can just have my thoughts shared on a platform. It's a free speech. It does not discriminate. You can be anybody and have a podcast. And I want to see that. Like I want to see. I know everything gets commercialized. I know it's going to all get commercialized.
Already has.
It already has. And
Casper mattress.
What is?
Casper mattress. Oh wait, you can't do that?
No.
Oh, we can't be like the things that are always being like, okay, the same ads over and over again. Okay, sorry.
It's the same. Seriously, I listen to Dateline a lot, and it's the same 3 advertisements every 5 seconds. It's so sad. I just want to hear about murder. Why? Why can't I just hear about murder?
So you are darker than me.
I do like murder. I mean, I don't personally want to murder anyone, but I like the topic.
I think people just love a good story.
Yeah. I think I like the sociology. I think I like hearing about how people tick.
Yes.
And because I can't imagine that life for myself. I'm sure most people cannot. But to hear about other walks of life that are just a little bit off the beaten track.
I love the detective aspect of it. I love it's like how does this conundrum get solved? Mm-hmm. And also and I think Morbid's good about this because they do a good job of like cheering on the survivors when someone in the story is like surviving or fighting back.
Yeah.
It's so satisfying and it's awesome. It's a good feeling.
I love it. All right. I want to go listen to a podcast, but we got to go back to work.
Yeah, we do.
Let's go back to work.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Why aren't you at your desk right now?
You told me to be here.
Yeah.
And you're my boss, so I can't really say no.
Oh, okay. I'm on a power trip now. Okay. Bye.
Here's poet Miriam O'Neill in a reading of her original work.
Our next reader is Miriam O'Neill.
I'm with Mark. It's nice to be back in this room. I grew up in Plymouth, so I remember when it was the library. And there was a second floor over there, and you could get your Nancy Drew right upstairs. And Cherry Ames, private duty nurse. She was hot. I was fortunate enough to participate in the Poet Laureate competition back in 2020, just before the world shut down. And we were each asked the finalists were each asked to write a poem about Plymouth, with a Plymouth theme. And some people wrote historical poems and pilgrim poems and Cordage Park poems, and I wrote about Woolworths. And I would like to reprise this poem because I think it's a lot of fun. It's called Plymouth. It's a true story, too. Plymouth, snapshot with birds. A man walks into Woolworth's on a day in spring. I say walks when I could say totters, his uncertain forward motion, like a man who's spent long months at sea. I'll say that year spring was slow in coming. Crocuses considered blooming, then snugged back in their beds of mulch or disappeared into the grass where voles and mice had hidden them last winter. I say Woolworths, which those of a certain age and years of residence will remember, once anchored a block of Main Street. My sisters and I sipped Cokes, a little flat, too sweet, the kind mixed out of tanks under the counter, then served in thick-ribbed glass with straws with accordion tips. From red vinyl-covered stools, we could see almost everything on offer. Crates of Rachel's Cream discount makeup in numbered shades of beige and ivory. Sagging bolts of polyester house dress materials along the wall next to racks of carded buttons and spools of thread. And down the center, pots and plastic that all reflected the fluorescent glare of lights, some winking due to loose connections, some droning loose connection tunes. And down back, the home of minor household tools, 3-in-1 screwdrivers, picture hooks, spatulas, serving spoons. To our left, the plate glass window, where beyond, Plymouth wandered west towards Puritans, north to Smith's, and east to Toby Hardware and the USPO. And south, invisible to customers at Woolworth's, the hulk of Burial Hill. And to our right, the favorite aisle, the rows of cages, tanks, and aquaria, home of hamsters, fish, and turtles along the wall, and above them, songbirds, canaries, parakeets, and doves in ones and pairs, white or brilliant yellow, green and china blue, their little curved beaks biting at the wires that caged them. Their noise, not a true singing, more a quiet screech, their little talons curled then uncurled on each perch, while we twirled on our seats in our school uniforms, catechisms stuffed in book bags, knee socks sagging, when the man walked into Woolworth's, or better said, he lurched. The weighted door closed quietly behind him. April's chill followed him in, and when he turned and tottered toward us, we turned our backs to face the fountain and listened to the whistle of his raincoat and the whistle of his raincoat as he passed, and his muttering. Then, commotion in the small pets aisle as one by one he flung the cages wide, and the birds, startled out of resignation, took their chance and bolted for the ductwork overhead, where they filled the air with chirps and whistles as their savior flapped his arms. Go free! Go free! The clerk, who kept an eye on kids who had no money, left his station, and the manager, hearing the noise, yanked open his office door to watch as songbirds swooped and pooped in flight and soared and chatted happily, and we stared dumbfounded at the audacity of the man who walked into Woolworth's and released its birds. Or should I say, he tottered? Or should I say, he lurched? Or should I say, he understood the impulse in each one of us to be free? So I'm just going to read one other poem, because that was a long poem, and it's a bird poem too. I'm a bird sort of crazed person. This is a list poem you'll hear. It's called Little Consecrations, and it's in my book, The Half-Said Things. A plague of grackles, a clutter of starlings, a scold of blue jays, a chirm of finches, any kind, a rafter of turkeys, a ubiquity of sparrows, an echo of mockingbirds. Isn't that cool? An echo of mockingbirds. A drum of goldfinches, a bobbin of robins, a hover of hummingbirds, a charm of housefinches, a chime of wrens, a dissimulation of chickadees, a blessing, a hermitage, a beatitude of bluebirds, a sky. Thank you.
And that's what's good and good to know on the local scene this week. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. We are grateful for your attention. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe to the local scene here and share everywhere. Thank you, friends.